That is the fastest super chat I think we've ever seen.
Yeah, a pre-game super chat from Alex Reyes says, start your Bivas in Peraza. Can't be worse. Yeah, probably not. Obviously, the topic of this conversation, and if you guys are joining us and you're new to this channel, please make sure you guys like and subscribe to this video, but we're going to get right to it. The topic of conversation is Anthony Volpe. What is this player, right? Yesterday, his third at bat, he got a knock. Obviously, the Yes broadcast was covering him and saying, yeah, he made a nice adjustment on the fastball. But overall, this player, we're talking about now over 1,250 at-bats. He is a 226 career hitter, okay? His on-base is below 300. I think last deadline, Jake, when we were looking for players, we were saying their on-base has to be league average.
Yeah.
330. Give us something serviceable. Anthony Volpe offensively is not serviceable. I'm sorry. I understand that people are looking at arbitrary numbers like ops. And before we went live, Jake and I were actually discussing how ridiculous the stat ops really is. Because I'll tell you this right now. Anyone, and that includes Anthony Volpe, that includes Boone, they would all agree Anthony Volpe in 2025 so far, we're not talking about the glove, that we'll talk about that later, right? Very soon here. We're just talking about the bat. Everyone would agree, offensively, he's been a dud. Simply put, I don't care what he did yesterday. I don't care what he did the day before. Overall, total dud of a season so far. In so far, his first 86 at-bats of the season. And this also is a continuation from last year. His ops is still 717. If that doesn't tell you how useless that number is to determine how well a player is playing, Jake, I don't know what to tell people. This player is not helping the Yankees win games offensively. Again, made a couple of mistakes that were atrocious today in the field, but we digress. Offensively, he's hitting in his last 30 games, Jake. He's hitting 209. Last 15 games got worse, 143, okay? Struck out twice as much as he walked. A player who can run, okay? Comes up today with a man on first and second base. It's a 1-0 lead. The broadcast was all agreeing, yeah, he should definitely get a ball in play here. He's probably going to want to drop down a bunt. Doesn't even think to drop down a bunt, just immediately rolls into a weak ground ball double play. And then the broadcast suggested that it was hard contact. It was not. It wasn't. It was just a routine ground ball to shortstop, and that's what we're used to seeing. Anthony Volpe so far has been a bust offensively. Defensively, he's got a ton of range. He's 95th percentile in range. Arm is below average. Jake, you've mentioned this many times about his arm. I think it's probably something like 30th percentile. Not very good. But I will say, Jake, this is all about the bat. 23-year-old Anthony Volpe, the starting shortstop for the New York Yankees, has to be miles better than this as a top prospect. He is not close to where he needs to be.
Yeah, I've just kind of, I've really, whatever happens, happens. How you got to be with Carlos Rodon, how you're like, the expectations are no expectations. That's how I feel about Anthony Volpe. He's given me no reason to feel really good about him for the future. I mean, like you said, you teed it off perfectly. 95 percentile range, 33 percentile arm strength, and his bat is miserable. You don't like watching him hit. You don't feel confident when he comes up to the plate with, in a close game or whatever. And it's like, has he had big-time hits? Yes, the World Series. But it's not about whether or not a guy can do it. And actually, this should be I think, focal point to what we're saying, Gary.
Thank God. I'm so glad you're saying this.
Because you had just brought up, yeah, he's going to get some hits when we're talking negatively about him. But understand this. If he gets 2 hits in a game, he's not absolved of all the blame the next game where he strikes out 3 times. He's not absolved of all the blame for what he's done over the course of his career so far. This is a guy that they, quite honestly, gave a free pass to. He did not have to really work and get up to the major league level like some of the other guys they normally do. Gary, they skipped a year with him, if you remember, because the fans were so loud about wanting to see this kid play. And the fans were only saying that because that was what we were hearing. Oh, this guy, obviously not everybody was saying it, but there were people that were like, Derek Jeter with power. This is the best shortstop option you could imagine. And so when you feed that rhetoric to these fans, they expect to see that. So, like, who wouldn't be excited? And he had a good, camp, right? But you know who else had a good camp? Spencer Jones. You don't see him anywhere. He's still in Double-A. Point being, they skipped the step. They crossed the line. They cut corners to get this guy in the bigs as soon as possible. And he has not rewarded them in the slightest. An occasional game-winning hit here and a nice play at shortstop there does not absolve him of a lot of the inefficiencies, the inconsistencies, and just the sheer disappointment that Anthony Volpe has been since becoming a New York Yankee.
Yeah, and I want to throw something on from one of our members. They brought up a really good comment, and this is about the post-game conference, right? In discussing with Anthony Volpe, what are we really looking at here? And we're talking about the post-game interview with Volpe was infuriating. The excuse, that's baseball, can be fair sometimes, but it's a crutch. He needs to do better. I actually don't know how anybody, Volpe, Boone, anyone on the staff, right? Derek Dietrich, who's, I don't even remember what they described him as on the broadcast. It was called the accountability coordinator, which is freaking ridiculous. Not sure what he's doing in there. But I guess the real question is, he needs to just say, yeah, I've been horrible and it has to be much better. That's what I want to hear. And the reason I say that is because arguably the most consistent hitter that the Yankees have ever had outside of Aaron Judge in the recent past is Giancarlo Stanton. Giancarlo Stanton, and there's a reason a lot of players say, hey, we actually really look up to the way he does things, is he's accountable in all ways. That's the reason why Giancarlo doesn't rub anyone the wrong way. Giancarlo will tell you, yeah, you know how I hit 170 last month? That's just pathetic. Can't happen. Pathetic. And yet, we'll have players showing up into year 3, age 23, like this is supposed to be entering into the prime of your career. You cannot possibly say Anthony Volpe hasn't had the opportunity, hasn't had the leash. If anything, his leash is longer than anyone's. He's might as well just be in Congress at this point. Okay? Anthony Volpe can make defensive errors. He can make mental mistakes. He can not hit for 2 months. And people in our audience were saying, and I read it, I'm reading all of them. He needs a day off. A day? He needs a day?
He needs a week.
No. Don't schedule it. Put the best players on the field. And if you're going to tell me that Anthony Volpe's glove is that good, you need better shortstops. I'm here to tell you, if his glove is so good, you can't give Peraza, Cabrera, anybody an opportunity over there at shortstop that can hit a lick. We haven't done enough in that shortstop room. I'm sorry. It just doesn't make sense to me. It's like being in the quarterback room and your starting quarterback is throwing pick after pick after pick and no one is looking at QB2. Well, then your quarterback room is not very good. And this is what leads a lot of us to say, well, we didn't want to go trade for Francisco Lindor all those years ago, right? We didn't want to go bring in Corey Seager the way that we had the opportunity to do. We didn't want to trade Anthony Volpe for Luis Castillo and then go into the free agency market and get a high-priced shortstop. No. We don't want to do that. We've got this kid. But what if you're wrong? And how long do we have to go offensively down this path before the Yankees say, we were wrong about this kid? Because it seems like right now, we're just sort of doubling down on a mistake, and it's really costing us.
Yeah, and I like everything you're saying. I actually want to get some audience members involved here because I'm seeing some things, and I want to address them. So
yeah, let's do it.
Let's get them involved. Obviously, you guys comment for a reason. So let's see this right here, for instance. Adam, you're absolutely entitled to your opinion. You guys are so reactive. He has a bad game. Then you start calling him a bust. Give me a break. He's a Gold Glove shortstop and hit 243 last year. Give him a chance.
Take it away, Jake.
Adam, Gary, I just asked him if it was okay for me to put the title, is Anthony Volpe a bust? And not that like I have to, answer to Gary, but like he hates on my titles. But I wanted to ask him, like, is that okay? Because basically we're just asking a question. The entire point of a title on YouTube is a prompt. It's not necessarily us taking one side or the other. But yeah, I'll be honest with you. Right now, Anthony Volpe is absolutely a bust. What I find interesting here, Adam, and I appreciate you watching, so don't have any issue with this, or if you do, it is what it is. I'd love to see you guys hold yourself accountable to the same unrealistic standards that you subject Volpe to. I don't think it's unrealistic to ask for what I asked for this before the season, Gary. 270 from Volpe. 270.
270. Yeah.
I mean, that's not unrealistic.
Well, Jake, hold on. He's at the very end. He says, "I wish you guys would hold yourself to those same standards that you hold him to." Well, Jake, I'll tell you this right now. Mm-hmm. You run a Rams show. Mm-hmm. We run this Yankee show together. Mm-hmm. Do you think if we do this full time as a job, like this is our work, okay? Yeah. This is our space. Do you guys think instead of averaging 5 to 10 up to 30,000 views per episode, we were averaging 200? Do you guys think that perhaps YouTube would be like, we need to throw another channel up there? That's the way that this works. If we don't perform, right? If we don't help entertain anybody in the Yankee space, well, then people aren't going to show up. You don't have a job. This is all work, okay? So that's where I'm coming from, okay?
Yeah.
When people say, I see it in the chat, too soon to say, it is not. What player is there in Major League Baseball that shows up in year 1, hits 200, shows up in year 2, hits 240, shows up in year 3, shows up the first month and a half of the season, first month of the season, and they're going to show up again and do exactly what they did the previous season, okay? Mm-hmm. I don't know what player it is that all of a sudden, out of thin air, we're like, yeah, what's your biggest struggle as an offensive player? I can't hit a fastball. The broadcast talks about it every single day. There is no big prospect that anyone can mention, not one player, nobody, that you say, yeah, that big-time prospect that really panned out, he ended up hitting 15 years in Major League Baseball. Yeah, he couldn't hit a fastball lick in his first 4 years in the league. Doesn't exist, okay? Now, here's why this is happening. The reason it's happening is because people, for whatever reason, have a hard-on with saying, I just believe in this player, right? I believe that they could literally list off anybody. They can say, I think Pablo Reyes, despite his slow start offensively, is just going to figure it out, right? They'll just be an anomaly of the group. The group's all going one direction. They're going to go the other. And then all of a sudden, we'll have you literally told me before the show, Jake, you were like, well, Volpe did have a hit yesterday. He had a hit the day before that. And then I told you the macro of it is, considering those numbers, he's still hitting 167 the last 15 games, okay? That's what it's really about, is who are you consistently? So I'm just of the nature, Jake, that I don't really care who you are today. Mm-hmm. I just don't. I care who you were yesterday, the day before that, accumulated over a long period of time so that I can actually make a fair assessment of you. That's what I think we all deserve.
No, I agree with that. I appreciate Adam, because how do we get better if we don't have dialogue, right? And he's gonna disagree because clearly he likes Volpe, and he does say so many fans bury players, but then also says Dominguez isn't good, right? So again, like, we have our guys, right? That's the way it is. We try to give everyone a shot. I think we've given Volpe a pretty long leash. We gave him a full season last year doing this show. I've given him a long time. I thought he was going to be a 270 hitter. It's early on. I get that, but over 300 games, that's not necessarily early. So look, I'll be real here. There is kind of this assumption that Anthony Volpe is a top shortstop because of his defense and all of that. I would actually challenge that. I think Anthony Volpe is an overrated defender. He's a good defender, but I do think having an above or a below average arm has bothered him. I do think he misses plays, but he makes some great plays. So people talk about those great plays, but we talk about him not charging the other day, costing a run. Well, how about today? That was a huge play. Probably cost him the game. I'm not going to put the entire game on Volpe, but again, we're having discussion because this was not a great game. They should have won this game, and they blew it 3-2. But we're talking about this because I think it's cool. It's a continuation from what we were saying yesterday. I think this is the topic right now Yankee fans want to talk about. We read the comment section, so we know you guys want to talk about this. And I'll tell you right now, Anthony Volpe, there's a lot of this like assumption that he's this top 5, top 10 shortstop. It's just not true. And you know, people will say, well, 2024. Okay, so I'm looking at 2024 right now, Gary. Out of the qualified shortstops, right? Mm-hmm. In order to qualify, you need to have at least 3.1 plate appearances per game, right?
Right.
So as of 2024, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Anthony Volpe is 14 out of 17 shortstops that have qualified in average. He has a 243 batting average. That's not top 10. And he doesn't have the home runs. He has 27, right? Or excuse me, no, he's 12. He has 27 doubles. He's 12. So he doesn't have that. And then OPS, he was second to last in qualified shortstops. So what makes him top 10 offensively? And then you look at fielding, and guess what, Gary? If you look at fielding, believe it or not, Anthony Volpe, I'm just talking about 2024, right? Trying to be fair here.
Yeah.
Not, cherry picking. Anthony Volpe is near the bottom. He is the bottom half of the qualified shortstops in fielding percentage, right? So here's the deal. Is that, look, I don't think Anthony Volpe's a bad player. I think he's an average player. But the problem is he's average combining what I believe is good defense. I'm not saying it's bad defense. I'm saying it's good defense. I don't think it's elite. But that's the problem. He's average with good defense. That means he's a below average offensive player. And that is our struggles here. That's really the issue. That's why we're talking about this. Because think of another position, Gary, when you think about a team, you think about an organization.
Yes.
Find another position that is more prolific and iconic than the shortstop of the New York Yankees.
It's literally the only other thing in the conversation, and it's pretty close, is playing quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. If you tell me, hey, Dak Prescott is playing pretty average football. He makes the throws, right? He makes the right reads, but he's not going to make that big throw when you really need it. You get to the playoffs, he has no opportunity to make that big throw and put the team over the top. Well, you know what? He's the wrong quarterback. He can go play in Jacksonville. He can go play for Arizona. That's fine. And that's our point. So I hope people understand this. When you join our show, Anthony Volpe is a bust, not because he's a bad player. That's the connotations, the negative connotations of bust. No, bust in comparison to the expectation and the role. The role Anthony Volpe has, unfair or not, is to play shortstop for the Yankees. You need to be a top 10 shortstop in the game. You don't get this position just because you can field your position and not hit a lick and then be streaky for 10 days. We all talk about it. Oh, this is what could be. And then 3 weeks go by and we say, well, you remember 2 weeks ago because it looked a lot different than it looks today. You don't get to do that for the Yankees. That's why we all paid so much attention to this prospect. That's why they rushed him. They wanted this more than the numbers suggested it would be. Okay. Rich Squires with the super chat. Thank you for the 10. Says, Gary, the game's changed considerably as well. Clubs now value more launch angles and exit velocity than putting the ball in play in fundamentals. This hurts players like Volpe. What's so interesting about that, though, I feel that Volpe is giving so little offensively that he'd be so much better served, and this roster would be so much better served if he would just go away from what clubs are asking players to do and launching the ball up in the air. And we understand he's got homers, right? He's got above a 700 ops. Anthony Volpe dropping down some bunts situationally like we needed today, right? Just making the right play offensively, being what Paul Goldschmidt was described of today, right? We don't need him to hit. Goldie's hitting 371. We don't need Volpe to hit 371. But you heard Boone today. He said, you know what? What makes Paul Goldschmidt so great? He's the best situational hitter. He's always situationally hitting. Why is a player who's hitting 371 described by your own manager as a situational player, but the player who's hitting under 200 is going to show up to the plate in Anthony Volpe and just be too good or too big of a prospect to try and attempt those same fundamentals? Jake, I don't get it. Some of these guys have got to at least attempt the mental side of the game and play this game the right way, because if they're just going to play it like the other stars play the game just because they have the talent to do so, a Tatis can do it, they are just going to go deeper and deeper into a hole until they're no longer here.
Yeah, and I agree, like, with Rich, what he's saying, and I think this is the issue, you know, like, a lot of the new things, like, what we're seeing when you add something, like, oh, well, we realized this wasn't working, now we're going to do this, right? Because we're in 2025, technological advancement, all of that. We're seeing it with college sports, how NIL is killing college sports right now, currently, right? We're seeing it, how it's completely changed. It's the Wild West. Well, we're also seeing it with how analytics are taking over sports. And the problem is, I do agree to an extent with what Rich is saying. I think it's harder on the younger players, but here's why I think it's now really important if you're going to focus on analytics and those things that these younger players, oh, now, yeah, we want to mess around with your launch angle and all that. It might be on the Yankees for why Volpe is struggling to an extent. I'm not giving Volpe an out here. It might be. But that also is concerning that, like, he hasn't really been able to adapt, right? And then we talk, well, we gave him a new bat, like a completely new bat, right? The torpedo bat.
That's right.
It's like, no, you notice how no one is talking about torpedo bats anymore? Nobody. All the guys that were hitting with torpedo bats, they're all struggling right now. All of them.
Well, actually, I have some stats right here. And we're not going to just dive into another topic. We're going to still hone in on this. But those torpedo bats, Jazz Chisholm, right? Like you're talking, Jazz Chisholm, Cody Bellinger, and Anthony Volpe, all torpedo bat users, okay?
Yeah. I think Austin Wells, too.
Austin Wells, he's not even in this, okay?
Yeah.
Combined, they have 286 plate appearances. They're hitting 181 combined. To tell you how bad this has gotten, and remember, Cody Bellinger and Jazz Chisholm, Anthony Volpe is just buried into the lineup, okay? He's hitting like 7th.
Yeah.
Bellinger and Chisholm are in the thick of our lineup, and we're leading the AL in runs scored. So imagine if these guys were doing a damn thing, okay? We're not asking them to hit 320. We're not asking them to live up to their potential. Not even that. You're hitting 181. Your on base is 270. Under 270 as a group. Do you know Jazz Chisholm, that opening series, Katie Sharp comes out with this stat. The opening series, he hit 417. The rest is history, all those homers. Since then, 21 games long, he's hitting 118. It's insanity, Jake. And it really brings you back to the fact that these players that play, because I saw it in the chat, and I want to make sure I get this up there. It had to do with Paul Goldschmidt. Because people were saying, well, the reason that we have the disparity in situational hitting between Goldschmidt and an Anthony Volpe, who's the topic of conversation, is because one player is so much better than the other. No, absolutely not. That's the difference. Paul Goldschmidt is talented enough where he can just try and go get his numbers. But you know what Paul Goldschmidt was trying to do today? You get a man on second base, less than 2 outs. I'm trying to spray the ball the other way. I might even get out. That's what Aaron Boone's talking about. He's not talking about the ability to hit 370. He's not saying that. That's not situational hitting. Situational hitting is understanding, is this at bat something I need to sacrifice so that the next guy can do it? What is my role when I get into the batter's box? And I'll tell you this, if you blindfolded somebody and had Anthony Volpe walk up to the dish, you'd have no idea where a runner was. You'd have no idea he was attempting to drive in a guy from third base less than 2 outs, or there was nobody on base. You would have no idea of the situational hitting he's even attempting to do. So that's something I really wanted to bring up, is Anthony Volpe's refusal to buy into situational hitting to even help this offense get better.
And I love that you bring up situational hitting, because the way you explain it, this coincides with why last year when we kept talking about, like, when I kept saying, people did not understand what I was trying to say. When I said Juan Soto is the best pure hitter in baseball, that's what I was talking about. Is that
right?
No matter the situation, he knows what he needs to do. And he's not going to get in over his head. You might not like him now, and I get it, you know. You're not supposed to mention his name with the Yankee fans. But Juan Soto, the one thing I always admired about him at the plate for the New York Yankees is you saw it every single time. He could get on a run. He could hit home run after home run. But you saw him, he never started to, like, lean towards that. He never became that guy that now I'm going to change my approach, because no. That's the thing, is that you can have a level swing, and if you're just making good contact, you can hit a lot of home runs, you know? And I think when you look, find it really fascinating, but I think it makes sense, Gary. Goldschmidt is using a torpedo bat, but Goldschmidt's 37 and knows how to situationally hit. He knows how to work counts. He knows how to get the best pitch. And the thing is, if Volpe works the count, if Jazz Chisholm works the count, they get that pitch. How many times are you seeing Jazz Chisholm not swing and miss? I mean, that's a lot, but how many times are you seeing him miss, like the other night with Wells, right down the plate, middle, and it's fouled back? And I made the joke last night, but I was serious. Like, fans will be like, "Oh, he's battling, he's fighting." No, he just missed a layup, that would have probably given the team 20 points. Well, just in basketball terms, essentially.
Yeah.
Like, that's what that is. And so you have a player in Goldschmidt that, what I mean is, he's going to work counts, and then he's going to force you to throw it in the zone, and he's going to smash it, and he's not going to smash it over the fence. He's only done that once this year, Gary. But
isn't that interesting? The second most effective player on our roster isn't hitting homers worth a lick. Now, mind you,
I know.
I just saw a chat. Wasn't a super, but it was one of our members, Jalen Sestero. And Jalen, if you even think for a second I would have missed this chat, you've got another thing coming. I almost stood up out of my chair because I promise you, I was waiting to talk next so I could bring this up, okay? I had it written down in my notes. Saw it clear as day, was the most despicable at bat of the day, okay? Now, mind you, I'm throwing this straight up on the screen, and I want people to understand this is exactly what we want, and this is why we started this channel, is so we could find people who view the game this way, okay? Jalen Sestero says exactly what I was going to say. Judge had a leadoff double today. We all watched it.
Yep.
And Belly swings at the first pitch, puts it in play to third base. Now, mind you, he hit the ball hard. Irrelevant.
Yeah.
Bad situational hit. Got to try to pull something to the right side to get Judge over to third. Here's the part that's so funny. Cody Bellinger was off balance all day, pulling everything foul, rolling everything over to the right side. He finally finds himself in a situation where that is perfectly okay. All you have to do is roll the ball over to the right side. And you know what he tried to do? He tried to spray a ball to left field because the shift was going to right field. He tried to get a hit rather than situationally hit. That's the difference between great hitting and streaky hitting. When you want to know if a player is streaky or if he's just really good and situationally aware, that is your difference. Okay, guys? He could have literally rolled over to second base. You're out. Hardly anyone would have talked about it. We probably don't even bring it up on the show today. We score a run, and then you know what? We end up talking about the dude after him who hit the sac fly to score a run. That's how baseball works. That is why players like Paul Goldschmidt, who have 10 years of experience, 15 years of experience in this league, home runs, doubles, right? Batting titles, and they'll show up with a man on second base and just fist the ball to right field or fist the ball to second base, give themselves up. Jalen, sensational, exactly. That's what we're looking for.
Hell yeah, Jalen. One of the OG members here. But
OG.
Dude, did it really surprise you that the only guys that hit the ball today, Ben Rice, Aaron Judge, Paul Goldschmidt? Like, I could have told you, if you had asked me before the game, Jake, pick 3 hitters that are going to get at least a hit, I would have said all 3 of those. They had the only hits in this game, 6. Aaron Judge had 4 of them. Do you know how pissed Aaron Judge must be? He's not going to say it. He's going to be all, he's the leader, he's the captain or whatever, going to be all diplomatic, humble, all of that. Bro, if I went 4 for 4 in a game where we only scored 2 runs and we lost 3-2 because of an inning of bad defense, where I was in the outfield and couldn't literally do anything about it, I would be livid.
Guys, Aaron Judge, for those of you who haven't taking a peek at the stats because I know it's pretty arbitrary every day.
Are we serious?
411, his ops is 1231. Okay. Now, mind you, prime Mike Trout. Okay. For those of you who are not just Yankees fans, but you're baseball fans, you sort of look at the landscape, right? Prime Miguel Cabrera. Those players were giving you like 350 with an ops about 1,000. Okay. 1,000 guys. The best players, Mike Trout, if healthy, was going to be on that list, that upper echelon, top 5 of all time list. Guys, he's 200 points higher than that in terms of his ops. Aaron Judge, and someone actually tweeted to me, they're like, wait till teams figure out that they could just walk Judge 4 times. Isn't it interesting that that's still not ever the choice? They never choose that.
I gotta be honest with you. When I know someone just made fun of me in the comment section. I saw that comment. It's like, oh, if I had $1 for every time Jake said I'm gonna be honest with you, or something like if I had a sip of alcohol.
I saw it. They were like, I'm gonna do a shot.
Yeah, it's the new pedigree, so I gotta stop it. When I watch like Cody Bellinger in the 3-hole, I gotta be like, yo, Boone, what are you thinking? I like Bellinger and you like Bellinger, but to the surprise of that dude in the comment section that has clearly never watched our stuff before and said that we were picking on people that we don't like and safeguarding people that we do like. Because I don't know if you saw that comment. He was saying how we go in on guys like Volpe and Rodon, but we never hold guys like Bellinger and Dominguez and Chaz Chisholm accountable. And I'm like, at this point, Jazz Chisholm would probably never talk to me if he saw me. The way we've been holding him accountable lately. And I love Jazz Chisholm. So I don't subscribe to that. But, Gary, batting Bellinger third, I don't know what Boone is thinking here. And I always try to, like, understand. But, like, you can't bat a guy third to be like, yeah, I'm going to try and get him going. No. The thing with the lineup is that it should really be a power ranking with how they use it. It should really be based on who is going to contribute. Because you can say, oh, yeah, I like the wraparound with Cabrera. He's got good athleticism at the bottom of the order. But it's like, okay, Cabrera's hitting 281. Like, I want that guy near the top of the order if he's going to come through and with those hits. And it's like, I understand you got to do lefty, righty, all that stuff. But, Gary, I would rather have batted Cabrera third than Bellinger. Right now, Bellinger doesn't show you anything at the plate. He just doesn't. And the thing that's really frustrating to me is that Cody Bellinger felt like the opposite of this player. He has been the opposite of this player. We saw it in spring training, and people could say, oh, it was just spring training. We'll say that to Ben Rice. But Bellinger, I just feel like, and I'm not trying to make an excuse to him, I just feel like that back issue threw him off, and I feel like maybe in a month or so, he's going to really come on strong. But they're frustrating at bats, Gary, because what was the one thing I said when they picked up Bellinger? This guy doesn't strike out. He had 80 strikeouts last year. He is going to have
Chicago
over 100
Cubs,
easily this year. Easily.
Yeah. We are essentially, with Cody Bellinger, we weren't looking for MVP Bellinger. We were looking for a player that stylistically was different than like a Judge. That's what my daughter just freaking out.
Yeah, she did not like what you just said.
She did not know. She does not like it. But my thing is this. Cody Bellinger essentially was coming into the season. He's supposed to be this contact first player. That's what I thought we were getting. And now, mind you, this can change. I actually think we're not going to have a problem with Bellinger personally.
I don't think so either.
I think this will be okay. It's very frustrating. It's annoying, okay? But his style has changed. He's chasing pitches outside the zone routinely. His biggest struggle right now is what's a strike and what is not. If you watch him, right, ignore where the ball goes. He's struggling to figure out what pitches to swing at and which pitches not to. He's almost this big tweener. And if you really care about a player, like you ever really care what Aaron Judge does, and then he's struggling, and you're like, oh, you know what? He's going outside the strike zone a little bit. And then all of a sudden you start to get a little tight as a fan. You're like, well, hopefully they throw him a pitch that's really easy to read, right? Fastball down the middle, and then he can just go, right? But it just seems like, oh, bad call in the corner. And then you're complaining about calls all of a sudden, right? You're seeing that with Jazz. No. It's stylistically, Cody Bellinger right now is playing like Gallo when that's not who he is.
No.
He's not this guy who just takes a huge cut and gets to 0-2 and then all of a sudden tries to slash balls foul until he draws a walk. That's not Cody Bellinger. That's not the player that I know, and I think that's going to change. But some of the players that we do criticize, like multiple times, they've been doing the things that we're watching today since 2024, since 2023. That's what creates that criticism. So I think it's perfectly fair what we're doing.
I agree. And, I think like with Cabrera right now, I mean, he's not a bad bat. He's not going to give you a ton of pop. He's going to put the ball in play. He only had one strikeout today, so he is going to put the ball in play. But I think the thing with Cabrera is that right now we could be getting on him a lot more because of the errors, right? He's, I think, tied for second at the position in errors of qualified third baseman. But the reason that kind of gets him away from that is because of his offense. And right now, that's like what we're talking about. Like Bellinger, we don't talk about nearly as much because he's been such a key contributor as a defender that I do think that kind of shields some blame away from you. Still, the offense matters. But there are times where it's like, okay, you got to have one or the other. I want to talk about Jason Dominguez real quick as we wrap this show. And actually, let's do Jalen Sestero super chat here. Then we'll talk about Jason Dominguez to wrap the show. Sound good?
Take it away.
Okay, so Jalen, appreciate you. Appreciate everybody with the super chats. You guys are awesome. Thank you for the 5. I would maybe try and get Belly some at-bats in front of Judge for a few games. Could maybe help get him some things to hit. I get what you're saying. I think that's kind of the idea about why he's even batting third. I think it's trying to kind of instill some confidence. And say what you will, I mean, these guys are grown men, but that still does matter. I mean, I'll tell you right now, obviously I was a kid, but, Babe Ruth or whatever, if I'm batting first, I feel a lot better than when I'm batting ninth. It's a mental thing.
Then your coach has to come up to you and lie and be like, no, you hit ninth because it's the second leadoff. Yeah, like you're going to be on base, and then now the top of our order is there. Like, you're just as important as our 3-hitter. No, you are not. You're down there because you're butt.
Yeah. Cabrera, that's true. But when you're hitting ninth in Babe Ruth, well, there's a reason why
you're hitting ninth and playing right field. You're the worst player on the team.
So yeah. I bring up Jason Dominguez because I know Adam had mentioned Dominguez, and I saw some comments saying we're not really talking enough about his struggles. Okay. What are you coming away with Jason Dominguez? Because I don't think anything's changed. I think the left-handed at bats are good. I really do. He hits the ball hard. Sometimes it's right at guys. That happens. He works counts. Like he's not having any cheapies. And then his right-handed at-bats are abysmal. Like, they're not good at all. And I don't think anything has changed except for that one where he swung so hard he knocked his helmet off. But that's the only thing that's really changed. Like, when that happened, and this goes back to what I was saying, if off-air, actually, about DJ LeMahieu, if he has that 1 month, he's good. Like, if he comes back and he's... But, like, that's the thing with Jason Dominguez. He had that one really nice hit, huge hit, in that moment at right, on the right side of the plate. And now people are like, oh, well, see, he can do it. It's like, no. I'm not worried about him doing it. I believe Jason Dominguez can get a hit from the right side. I don't believe Jason Dominguez can hit consistently from the right side.
Yeah, okay. So
that's how I feel.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. So my feeling, I wanted to pull up the splits. I saw it in the comments. Someone was asking. Mm-hmm. And so I'm trying to figure it out. Would you be able to pull that up? I'm going to give my take on Jason Dominguez. I'm going to say this about him, and it's just really what it looks like. Jason Dominguez isn't speeding up when he struggles. He doesn't look overwhelmed by this whole process.
I agree.
Okay? And that's something that does matter. When you watch someone's at bat, if you watch Cody Bellinger today, right? He's clearly struggling, and Major League Baseball players struggle all the time. This is just part of the process. It's very hard to hit in this league. you can tell how the player's playing based on how they look in that at-bat. Do they look frantic? Do they look frustrated? Jason Dominguez doesn't look that way at all. And that is odd for a young player, especially a player who's really giving nothing as a right-handed hitter in this league. I think the numbers are actually right in front of me. He is 2 for 27 this season. Is that correct?
So for his career, he hits 282 with a 914 OPS from the left side.
Yes.
So for his career as a right-handed batter, he hits .096 and a 389 OPS from the right side in 52 at-bats. He has 103 at-bats as a left-handed hitter. So that is against, of course, that's against like the lefty-righty and the righty-lefty. So point being here, having him go up against left-handed pitching as a righty doesn't make a lick of anything. It doesn't do any difference. It just makes him bad. He's just not even a AAA hitter hitting from the right side. That's what I'm gathering here with these stats. So
that's fair. Because, I mean, if Barry Bonds went up to the plate, he's still Barry Bonds. But what if all of a sudden Barry Bonds was like, yeah, instead of hitting lefty, now I'm hitting righty. Everyone would be like, thank you, Jesus.
The casuals would be like, oh, my God, Barry Bonds, he is a switch hitter. What can he do? And then all of a sudden,
what can he do? And he hits 100. Okay, well,
yeah. Well,
what are we doing?
It's like I said with Cabrera. It becomes a novelty item. It's not important. If you can't switch hit, it's one of those things that you either can do it or you can't. But if you try to force it, the things that you are good at, you're going to start to struggle with. And I think the good thing about Jason Dominguez, you can get out of this because Jason Dominguez does not struggle on the left side. His approach is the same. To your point, I think he has good discipline, really good discipline for how young he is. I'm really impressed with the batter's eye there. But, man, I hate when I watch him bat righty. It's a wasted at-bat. It just have him try lefty, and I'll be honest with you, say it again, looking at it, he hasn't even gotten a chance to do that. They don't keep him in against lefties. I'm looking at right here, the platoon stats. He has not had to go up against a lefty pitcher hitting lefty.
Yeah, which at this point, okay, so this is my perspective on Jason Dominguez. I think we're now at the point where we really should absolve ourselves from the responsibility of trying to predict what he's going to be. I think nobody knows. I think he could end up hitting 245 for his career. He's got pop. He can still run. He can play average defense if he improves right and left field. We've seen some of that improvement already. But to suggest, okay, I watched him yesterday laser a ball to right center field, right? A breaking ball, 445 feet from the left side, and then just sort of project that based on the way it looked and say, oh, yeah, this is what I see. I think that'd be malpractice for me as a podcaster. I'm not going to do that. I'm of the mentality that Jason Dominguez is going to get every opportunity to play, okay? Whether I like it or not, and obviously I want him to play. But the point is, he's going to have to show me sustainable success. I know he's a young player, but if you look across baseball, there are young players that are giving contribution all day, every day. Happens all the time, okay?
Yeah.
So just because a player's in his rookie season, second year, third year, Volpe, 23, they're 23-year-olds all over baseball. Jackson Merrill, giving contribution all over baseball, and somehow Yankees players, because they're young, they're just absolved from any responsibility to perform. How about this? I won't place any expectations on you in Jason Dominguez and any of our young stars, right? I'm going to have them show me 2 consecutive months where I say, hey, he was a real contributor. Situational hitting, he wasn't perfect. He didn't hit 350, but when we needed something, if he had to drop down a bunt, he would do it. He played solid defense. I didn't look at him and circle him and say, hey, he's hitting 170 these last 2 weeks. He's not a problem in our lineup that's overall scoring runs. If that happens, now I can turn around and say, oh, Jason Dominguez is really working out for us. That's what I'm going to do, okay? I'm not giving you guys a prediction of what I think this player will be because when Volpe was called up, I said to trade him right away. I was one of the only people who was like, no. Luis Castillo, see you later. I'll pack your bags. And everyone's like, oh, my God, Gary, he's going to be the next Jeter. He's got pop, right? He won't be Jeter, but he'll be a notch below. Everyone told me this, okay? And I thought he'd be a fine player. I didn't mind. but he got to the big leagues. Now he is what he is, and then sort of everybody just jumped on that. And then I'm like, all right. So my thing, it's like, yeah, if you're going to play better, same thing with Rodon. I see him in the chat. Rodon on the mound tomorrow. Thank you, Jalen. If Rodon pitches well tomorrow, now I get to say, guys, hey, Rodon was excellent today. He was excellent in his last start. And now I get to be a hindsight Hank and talk about what is, rather than this random projection of what I think will be, that these players just flat out haven't shown me. Dominguez hasn't shown me anything consistent. Volpe hasn't shown me anything consistent. Wells hasn't shown me anything consistent. Jazz Chisholm hasn't shown me anything consistent. When you do, I will cover it on the show, I promise you.
Yeah, I agree with that. Last thing I'll say here, because I do see there are Volpe fans out there that will be like, well, Jason Dominguez is terrible. You need to get rid of him or whatever. And what I would say to them is this. Look, Anthony Volpe has had over 1,000 more at-bats than Jason Dominguez. You cannot, I'm sorry. I will put my foot down here. You cannot tell me you know who Jason Dominguez is through 46 games or whatever he's played. It's been 47. You cannot tell me through 47 games you're like, yeah, I know who this player is. I know exactly what he's going to be.
And it's a spotty 47 games. It's like he was on the field.
Exactly.
Got hurt, and then we sent him packing for a long time, long rehab, right?
Exactly.
Rehab assignments in the minor league. So we're not trying to make all these excuses for Jason Dominguez. All we're saying is that 3 years from now, if Jason Dominguez is still hitting, I mean, what's he hitting, 220? If Jason Dominguez is hitting 220 3 seasons from now, I promise you guys, I'm going to say, yeah, the Martian, yeah, the marshmallow. He's not what you thought he was.
He just turned 22. Volpe will turn 24 in 5 days. So I just don't really understand the whole, like, Anthony Volpe, we're going to give him a long leash. But then Jason Dominguez, we're going to cut him off here, like, before he gets... I don't get that. So I do see
Volpe's off his parents' insurance next year. So it's like he's not a young man at this point.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's just something I saw going around, not necessarily in our comment section live, but I saw it in some of our comments and whatnot. And I would just say right now, Jason Dominguez has pressure on him because there are other guys in the minor leagues that could take over for him. And the same thing goes for Volpe. But do you have or did you do the movie yesterday?
I think I did. I think I did a video game, 007, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, take it away.
Oblivion is out, by the way, folks, if you want to get in on that. Oblivion Remastered, which is kind of dope. But I am going to go with an anime, shocker, that I've been watching. The whole world turns to stone, and this guy is the only one who can save humanity and bring everyone back to life. It's called Dr. Stone. I highly recommend it. It is fascinating, very original. I've never seen anything like it. Type Dr. Stone in the comments section afterwards if you made it to this point in the video. If you didn't, you're a Weenie Hut Jr. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, and like this video.